Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Empower Your Teen. Today, I am joined by Angela Hill, who is founder of Journey Changers Scholarship Solutions. She is known as the Inspirational Scholarship Coach because she empowers teens to plan, navigate, and master the scholarship application process. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for being here today, Angela.
Thank you for having me. What a pleasure.
Yay. All right. So let's jump right in. I always like to start by asking people how they came to do what they do. How did you end up with Journey Changers Scholarship Solutions?
What Journey Changes for me was actually proof to a dream that never died. So it started years ago when I was a high school student. I came from a family who was used to being on welfare. No one in my family had graduated. Single parent home, only had a mother with 5 kids. And so it was kind of a struggle for us when it came to making sure that we got the education that we needed. And I always had a dream of going to college. But at that time, I didn't think that college costs. I didn't think about where I was going to go to college because nobody in my family knew anything about college, and they didn't talk to me about college. And so one day, a normal day coming home from school, my brothers and sisters and I were coming home from school. And when we got home, there was an eviction notice on the door. And we were used to the eviction notices because mom always took care of it before the deadline. But this time, my mother wasn't there. And she didn't come home that night. And we went to bed, got up, went to school, came home. She still wasn't there. We didn't know whether she was dead or alive, or she just abandoned us or anything. And at that time, there was no going to the cell phone, trying to reach mom because we didn't have cell phone. We couldn't afford cell phones. And so we went a couple of days and came home. She still wasn't there. So it was time for us to leave. So we ended up packing up whatever we could and just going to family and friends. We didn't wind up in the system, but we were able to, manipulate ourselves from one house to the other here and there. But that happened for me in high school. And through my next 2 years of high school, I was without any guidance. And I just didn't know, but I still wanted to go to college. Too embarrassed to tell anybody at school, hey, I need help because I don't have a mother at home. I don't have anybody to help me. So I self-taught myself about scholarships, college applications, and I did that for those last 2 years of my high school. And I was able to win a full ride scholarship to an out-of-state college. Yes.
That's amazing.
Amazing. And then 20 years later, when I started my own family, my children wanted to go to college. And it got to my back of my head, well, how did I go to college? How was I able to afford it? Scholarships. And so we hustled and bustled, and I talked to them about scholarships, and both of them won over $75,000 combined in scholarships. And then their friends were like, how did you do that? Can you show me how to do that? And so it just continued. And I never stopped dreaming about, starting a business, helping families win scholarships. And when I made a step to go ahead and start my business, people just started coming and coming and coming. And until now, I'm still doing it.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. It's just amazing how you can go from a place that you don't even want to talk to anybody else about it because it's embarrassing to now when I share my story, I can connect with and help other people.
Right.
So that's amazing. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that's what you do now, right?
Yeah.
You help families find the funds to get to college, and what a time that is so needed, especially with the cost of college, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's just jump right in for families with some of the details about scholarships. What do you think is the number one sort of, I guess, misunderstanding, or the number one thing that people don't know when it comes to getting scholarships?
Starting early. A lot of students wait until they're in the 12th grade to try to look for scholarships. Is it possible? Yes. But at that time, you cannot maximize the money that you're going to get. And the game of scholarships for students should be that they want to get more and more and more, regardless if they have a paid bill. Like for me, I should have went on further even after I got that full ride. I should have still been applying for scholarships. So a lot of students, even if they apply for scholarships in the 12th grade and they win, they stop. They don't continue to go and get more money. And the scholarship, it is a game where it is a long-term game. So you can't go in and think you're going to apply for scholarships in the 12th grade and you're going to get all the money that you need.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. It doesn't quite happen like that. Now, there have been some students who've been fortunate enough to actually get a lot of money in the 12th grade, but the percentage of students that do that is not very high. So starting early, you can start early as elementary school to apply for scholarships.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm taking notes now because I thought we're in elementary school.
Yes, yes. So
I didn't know that.
imagine applying that early and winning all of that money over time. And then you can actually use the money to invest in your child. If you don't need it for college, you can still use that money to invest.
So you can get the money and then put it in like a 529 or some sort of investment account?
Yes, yes. Because at that time, the student is not 18. So most of the time, the parent has to be the trust over it. So they're responsible for it. Now, there are some who actually send it to the students in the student's name, and they can actually put it in their own bank account and let it start earning interest in their own bank account.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So it's never too early, basically.
No. I tell students, if you started thinking about college, it's time for you to start applying.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And there's no cap, it sounds like, either.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You can get as many scholarships as you want.
So if you do get enough to cover all of your tuition and living expenses, et cetera, and then you get more, what do? They just cut you a check?
Cut you a check, a refund. Yes, ma'am.
That's what I like to hear. Okay.
Yes.
So how long can you don't have to wait till grade 12, right? So then how long do you keep applying for scholarships?
You keep applying for scholarships until your bill says paid in full.
There you go.
So if you wanted to go to grad school and then you wanted to go and get your doctorate degree somewhere, you still apply for scholarships.
Awesome. I love it. You're right. Because when I was in school and I've talked to other people that were this way, they were like, well, it's senior year. I need to apply to school, apply to scholarships. And then you get your scholarships. And then you're like, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't have to be done, right?
Right. Yeah. There's still uncounted for costs that come even when you go to college. If you think it's just your bill, it's beyond that.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I went in when I used to do my college and career workshops at the schools. I would go into schools and young people thought tuition included room and board.
Yeah. It's some of them still think that.
Yeah. And it really, really doesn't. So just like how it's often a surprise to families that you fill out FAFSA every year, it's not just the first year, it's the same thing with scholarships. You can keep applying. I love that.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
that's right.
Where can one go to find scholarships? Is it just the university that they're going to?
No, ma'am. So if you are in high school, your high school has a list of scholarships for your community based on what school you go to, whether it's going to be just school specific or in what city or what state that you're in. So you can also go to that good old public library that nobody wants to go to, but the public library has a database that has scholarships, and those scholarships are local as well as national. There are scholarship database with organizations like collegeboard.org. They have a database. Your local workforce community, it has scholarships. And then just going around talking about scholarships with different organizations, different nonprofit organizations, different churches. Anything that's in the community will always have a scholarship. It's just about going to the right place at the right time and knowing the right connections to be able to go and starting these conversations with people in the neighborhood is a good resource, because you never know who works for what company that has a scholarship that you can apply for.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay. And that's how you help families, right? As you help
Yes.
them find these databases, search them, how to connect with people, how to approach people, I would imagine. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yes.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit more about how you help families. What is it like working with you?
So with me, I have a coaching program where I take in students, and they not only learn about scholarships, but they also have some life coaching and put inside of it. Because, you know, when you start with students, they have to be organized. They have to know how to budget their time. They have to know how to keep going and not stopping. They have to know how to balance, you know, their classwork along with scholarship searching. So it takes a lot out of there, and they have to have the right mindset. So inside my program, I have scholarship plus life coaching. And so on the journey for scholarships, I teach them how to do what I do without me. So once our journey is ended, that doesn't end their journey for scholarships. They have to know how to continue to apply and continue to know where to apply. And also, we do interviews. Like some of the scholarship committees require students to do interviews. So I help them practice for their interviews. I help them also with their essays, knowing how to tell their story in the essay and to be different than the other candidates from the previous years. So it is a process, like I said, that doesn't come overnight, and students have to be willing to fight for the money. As long as they're willing to fight for it, it's there.
Awesome. I love that you hold hands and really help somebody go through this process so they don't have to do it on their own and they don't have to go in blind, but at the same time, you're not just, giving somebody a fish, you're teaching them to fish, right? So they can continue to do it. That's amazing.
And I also include connection with family, because sometimes some of the students are left doing it by themselves and their parents are not involved. So there is a connection where families are set up to do scholarship searching as a family.
Excellent. I love that. I love that. Get everybody involved, right?
Yeah.
More hands means more money.
More money.
Love it. Okay. Can you help us, for anyone who's doesn't quite know all the details and distinctions, right? What is the difference between like filling out your FAFSA to get money and applying for scholarships to get money?
Okay. So when it comes to the FAFSA, that is applying for any government or state assistance, whether it's funded through the college itself or outside of the college. So you are applying to see what they say, how much your family can afford. And we always know that number is not realistic, but whatever the FAFSA says that you can pay, that's usually the gap. And the gap in education. So if it's $10,000 they think you can pay for it, then those scholarships have to be put in to be able to fill that gap that most families do not have $10,000 sitting around. And applying for scholarships is applying for local scholarships, regional scholarships, national scholarships, and it is money that is free You don't have to pay it back. You don't have to pay anything to apply for it. And as I previously said, you can apply for as many as you can all through the year.
I love it. Okay, so FAFSA does lead to free money, but it is need-based, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And then scholarships, which is also free money, and both of those are different than loans, right? Which is not free money. But scholarships, what is that based on? When a scholarship is awarded, is it based on need? Is it based on talent? Because I've met some people that are like, well, I don't play a sport or an instrument, so I'm not going to get a scholarship.
It's based on lots of things. Anything you can think about, you can get a scholarship for. Nice. So of course, academics, test scores. There are scholarships for sports again. And then you can have a scholarship for playing the piano. You can get a scholarship for loving pets. You can get a scholarship for some of the craziest things, like who can make the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh, fun.
Yes. So inside my program, I teach them how to go beyond just the norm of academics, because yes, some students don't have high academics. Some students don't play sports. So there's a scholarship for every type of student. You can get a scholarship from where you live based on your last name. If you are come from a family that has a deceased parent, so there's scholarships for almost anything. If you wear contacts, there's scholarship. Wear glasses, there's scholarship.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
Curly hair. Yep. Scholarship.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
That is so fun. Yeah. So that's amazing. That's great because I've met so many people that are like, well, I'm not particularly smart in anything or particularly talented in anything, so I guess no scholarship for me.
Right.
Not the case at all, right?
Yeah. They leave money on the table when they do that.
Are there scholarships out there that don't ever get claimed because people just don't apply for them or something?
Because people don't apply. Yes, there are some that don't get claimed, and sometimes I've had scholarship committees talk to me about the right people didn't apply, so they had to give it to that one person that applied. Even though they did not meet all of the qualifications, they did not want the money sitting there, so they ended up giving it to that person. So yes, if there's scholarships money that sits, it rotates in, and some committees are able to create another scholarship rounding where they're giving students another chance. But if a scholarship committee is at the end of the year and they have this money and nobody's here to claim it, they're trying to get rid of that money some kind of way. So yes, that money is left there.
Wow. So go out there and apply for everything, because you don't know if it's going to just end up sitting there when you can have it, right?
You can have it, yes.
That's amazing. Well, I am so glad that you do what you do and that you help people find money for school that they probably didn't even know that they could get or where to start, especially for families who have a similar experience where, maybe they're the first one going to college in their family, or they're a family of immigrants, right? So their parents don't already have this experience themselves. And so having just somebody else there to walk you through it is just so amazing.
Yes,
so
it is.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, being able to help families, make a difference in families, it also gives them that boost to know that they're not out there by themselves. And it gives them hope for the future, whether it's for the family or the student themselves, because some students don't go to college because they can't afford it. And if there's money out there that they can get, it changes the trajectory of, their outcome. Whatever they want it to be, they can be, because finances is not going to be a barrier for them.
Don't let the price tag stop you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing all of this with us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for allowing me to do so.
Yes. So how can, if there are families out there that are like, oh my gosh, I need to contact Angela, I have more questions, or I know I want to work with her, how can they get in contact with you?
I can be found on Facebook and also on LinkedIn. I am known as an Inspirational Scholarship Coach. You can search for Journey Changers Scholarship Solutions, as well as email me at info@journeychangers.com.
Perfect. Okay. I will make sure to include all of that information with this video so that people can get in touch with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.